What's up, guys? It's Kurania here, and I'm on my secret alt account, TNT Guest Shamer. Where in this series, I'm going to be going through this undercover account's activity log, going through some games, analyzing all the guesses, and trying to give everyone tips on how we can all learn from the mistakes I'm seeing in these games. So let's get into it. The first game I'm analyzing is from TNT Mine, a player currently at 1200, I believe. And he's playing Community World No Move, and very fast guesses, so he's probably not using his complete thought. But let's see what guesses I have he can prove up. Okay, I believe he sent Albania or Montenegro to start us off. So obviously you have the rifts in the sky, but this location, you got a lot here that can make the country pretty straightforward if you're thinking it through. So Albania uses blue on the right of their place. They have a double blue strip on long plates on the front. That's unique in any country in Europe. Ilia's short fronts with double blues, whereas Monty has blue on the left and a little Montenegro shield that can appear slightly red. So as you can see here, you see a bunch of Montenegro license plates. That's probably the number one clue. Also, language here is super helpful. If you wouldn't happen to have plates, you have this language. This Z with an upside down hat on it is very common in Balkan languages. I believe it's not in Hungarian. It is not in Czechoslovak as far as I understand. So yeah, always helpful to know that you're not in Albania, you're in Monty, Serbia, North Mass, Croatia, Slovenia, with a language like that. And these Balkan languages also say Zona Scholar, Zona, very, very common. I don't think they use Scholar in Albanian. That S would normally have an upside down hat on it, although you can't see it from this distance. So yeah, those are my tips for this location. Let's head into the second one, I believe. Let's see. Number 2. We are in Argentina. So this is pretty minor one. For a 1200 level, I'm not expecting you to be cooking La Pampa, but this is for those who are watching, who may be a bit higher level, or really anyone. It's this location is June coverage. When I see winter coverage in plains, and especially this part of the plains that feels like could be La Pampa, La Pampa is always a great guess, because La Pampa has a lot more winter coverage than you expect in maybe Buenos or Cordoba, in Gen 3 specifically. Like you can see, winter here, winter here, winter here. It's very common, and you can get some November that looks completely different, where the grass is warm, the trees are warm. But yeah, for the most part, it's got a lot of winter, and these states are mostly summer, spring. Good understanding seasonal coverage is really helpful to cook a La Pampa Gen 3. It's my advice for this location. His region guess wasn't bad. I just wanted to point that out. What do we have next? We have location number 3. Okay, this one's in Max South Peru. Yes, he in 5 seconds sent northern Mexico. So let's go back and have a look at this location. To me, it seems like a pretty straightforward Peru on landscape. This architecture, lots of brick houses. South Peru or Montenegro, like a big brick wall. Not Montenegro, Bolivia. This very yellow soil summer coverage. Or I guess heading into fall, but with lots of rock walls and stuff. This is Lake Titicaca climate. These low-lying shrubs, very common around Lake Titicaca in both countries. This round circular pole in Mexico would have octagonal. He obviously didn't think this through too much. That's fair enough. Okay. Round 4. Where is location number 4? It is in Norway. Okay, so we are heading on to the second duel by TNT Halakau. and I believe he actually ended up winning this duel. But you can learn from your mistakes even when you're winning. Helico is currently at 1643. Decently strong player on the leaderboard. And I believe he made a mistake on the Norway region guess. Yeah, so he's hedging middle on south. So this is the location he had. I think this hedge is reasonable in game, but if you're trying to get close, I think there's some analysis to be made from this. So I've picked off a bunch of middle Norway islands, and you can see they can look quite similar. And the subtle thing here is essentially in this location you have a dense forest on top of these exposed rock mountains. Like essentially with the climate more north, it's a lot less likely for there to be this much of these pines growing on a mountain like this, and also the way the mountains look is less often like these exposed rocks when you're heading up in the middle towards Lofoten. Like look at the way these mountains are shaped and how much they just jut out of nowhere. Like and often they're not even possible going any vegetation at all. So when you're seeing pines, you should be thinking more south, because these you can go a little bit of pines like when you're not in the mountains, but then the mountains are huge rocks that you just they're in south you generally don't get them going out of nowhere so much, and like yeah, this lower forestedness, in my opinion, is a climate difference that you can kind of tell apart. But yeah, it's still definitely possible in lowlands to get these type of forest. It's more to figure out like how much they're able to grow in the mountains versus the lowlands, if that makes sense. To get a good sense for north versus south. That's my advice there. All right, jumping into round 5. Round 5. This one is in the United States, it looks like. It's in northern West Virginia. Ah, yes, okay. Halleck is an extremely strong US player. Yeah, he's still sent Tennessee on the northern West Virginia. This is quite baity. I don't have too much to teach here, to be honest. The architecture here isn't distinctly south to me. There's not much more southern low income housing. There's more bigger houses. There are some baity pines in the mix here that I can understand how someone can think of Tennessee. But I think that with the size of the mountains and how clearly this is within Appalachia, a Tennessee commit does seem a little extreme. And I think the architecture is also a good hint. I had a look at the covers near where I sent, and I found some Gen 2 and Gen 3, and like, yeah, these types of houses are very nice for south. That looks very southern to me. It's just slightly different. It's yeah, quite a subtle thing to tell apart for sure. I understand that region guess mistake. Just wanted to look at it. Round 6, Delaware. Now this is another completely understandable mistake. They both are hedging Midwest on coastal Delaware. Now, being able to cook this would be huge for points if you're able to do it in a game. And I think this one singular tree, looking somewhat like northern Midwest, is kind of baiting them here. But the rest of the vegetation, I feel like these are like, the word described like fluffy, like warm climate coastal trees. I like these trees for coastal, kind of planted trees, and like he sent Lansing, Michigan, for example. Know how like obviously north the trees would be in Michigan. Like these are very northern pines, these are very northern oaks. Like there's no branches low on the tree. All the branches are high up, and they got very giant bases, I guess. Also very very open. Coastal, it's a bit more closed in. The town, the houses are closer to the road, I guess. And yeah, a lot more, I guess, low-lying, fluffy shrubbery in the natural landscape. In my opinion, like this type of tree, like a bit different, and this location isn't like, I guess, the typical coastal town. It does look a bit, I don't know, a bit poorer. Yeah, this is, yeah. But you can see the vegetation here, how it's just the same as in the last look, on the lower trees, and you do get random oaks or whatever you call them in the mix, just planted in yards. But it's a tough one there for sure. Round 7. This is Russia. So this one is in Max West Belgorod. I believe they sent Ufa. Here, yeah, both players sending Ufa. Now this is early fall coverage, so the most important thing about this location is to make sure you get your vibes now for seasonal coverage. This is September, so the start of fall. And obviously there's not much trees nearby, but when you look in the distance of the trees, you can see they're starting to go orange. And this, frankly, this super like black dirt, like hoed out dirt, I guess you could call it, is very common west. Like I don't associate at all with Ufa. I associate it with 90% being Krasnodar, Rostov, Voronezh, Belgorod, this Saratov, like just west in general, like places where they grow cornfields, I guess. You get a lot of these black fields, and a lot of cornfields and stuff like that. But yeah, I pulled out the long antenna JSON, and like, yeah, here's September coverage, like very common west, bit less common here, and Ufa black hull long antenna, not something, or long antenna in general, not something you're seeing. That's always going to be the summer downtown. So yeah, I think and like the only reason they're sending Ufa is they see like a slight hill or ridge, I guess, which obviously is a hint for Belgorod, because Belgorod is by far the hilliest in this region. I just realized I had my crosshair on. Hilliest max west fall coverage state. Like it's very hilly compared to Belgorod, for example, or even Rostov. So yeah, that's my advice for that. Round 8. Right, I think we're heading to Feneb's games. Believe. Yep. So this is west coast of Baja California at Feneb's in the United States, and his opponents in Durango. So clearly a difficult look based on their guesses. Let's have a look at Feneb's current elo. He is 15-51. And first round of a game, he's sending USA on this. So Mexican bollard, yellow stickers. These are very, very, very Mexican. Mexican spams on the wood poles. Most of the wood poles have it. And yeah, this is a Mexican bollard right here. Clearly, he's just tunnel vision on the US without thinking about it. This climate is western Baja California, which makes perfect sense. Giant chocolate says Coca-Cola as well. Coca-Cola, extremely huge in Mexico and elsewhere in Latin America. But yeah, these I guess really dry rolling hills fields are really Tijuana. And it's just extreme dryness, and it's a really populated area. So they are like making fields here and there, and populating such a dry arid landscape that they wouldn't really do elsewhere in Mexico. And yeah, you can see like I don't know, it's just like an extension of California where it gets even drier and Mexico looking, and they do have fields like that, and it's really good to know, to be able to spot it, because this is just drier than Durango. Like Durango has, yeah, I mean look at how green this is in the summer. Like Durango has shrubs and stuff, way more going up on the mountains for the most part, and cactuses and stuff like that is a bit different to way more north. Let's jump into round 9. This is in India. Okay. I believe this is another Feneb. So we have West Bengal and Maharashtra. No moving. This is the location. So these poles, these horizontal bars underneath the pole top. You see 3 examples of them here. From my understanding, uh, Maharashtra, Madhya, Chhattisgarh. I've seen it a little bit in South Uttar Pradesh, but it's relatively reliable for those. You can see exceptions in West Bengal, but it's pretty rare, I'd say. Not something I would consider, especially if the landscape makes sense for these central states. And this landscape does make sense for these central states. It's a very central house. This species of palm, even though it's planted, pretty central to me. The reason he's going West Bengal here, I think, because he sees a bit of palm span here and he's thinking coastal. Okay, what makes sense for coast? Well, it's coastal northern language. I guess this is the only thing that makes sense. But the palms are fake here. You can't be trusting them. And the rest of the trees, like think about how generic middle of these trees are. West Bengal, it looks like Bangladesh. Like look how swampy and like different the vegetation is here. Like if you think about the climate of these trees, it's just central Western India. Like the palms are not to be trusted. Yeah. All right, round 10. We have Bali. Now this Bali location is difficult, but I think it's really nice to analyze. So his opponent sends Philippines. He sends Sulawesi. I understand that Sulawesi here for sure, but I think about the way to get Bali here is to really conceptualize and internalize Bali skinny dirt roads and like that these really skinny dirt roads. They have these lots of skinny trees. There's like tall grass, almost sugarcane looking, bananas, this vegetation mix, and they've got these skinny, kind of dark, normal dirt roads with these crazy vegetation. This is just make sure you have it as an option in your head. So when you get a look like this, you think, Bali's possible. You hedge for it, you can commit it, you can, just have it in your thought process. Because I agree, there are, North Sulawesi, Central Sulawesi's potential, like that could, be like this. But they have, when it comes to these like unpaved skinny dirt roads, like Bali's got to be an option. It's on Java as well, of course. And that's why Bali's kind of between Java and Sulawesi, so it's not a risky commit in the scheme of things. It's very good to know. Round 11, and that's pretty high level cook, because there's not much particular aspects of vegetation that makes it distinct, I guess. But knowing these types of roads exist and they have vegetation like that, just to have it as an option to hedge for is really nice to know. Okay, a Peru. I believe he ended up losing a game to a Peru round. Yep. So he committed Juarez on south of Ayacucho. Analyzing this mistake, when I look at the climate around Juarez, it's perfect for where this location is. The climates are virtually indistinguishable. But what I would say is that this is a Huancayo through Cusco and also Juarez. You won't really see it in between June, a nice road with all these pines. This is clearly more highlandy. So it's either there or these 3 Cs, and there's a lot more locations like that in this region, and it's the perfect middle hedge for this region. If that makes sense. Also the angle of this valley, just it's going on essentially this angle, and you can kind of see it doing that. So if you look at Juarez, let me give it a terrain. If you're looking at this angle, where in Juarez are you really going to be? There's not really a good spot that lines up up here. That doesn't really make sense. It doesn't look anything like it. And getting up to Cajamarca, this is getting way too green and lush. And you have to be essentially it has to be a lot closer to this, but this looks different. Essentially the way the climate in the Andes happens in Peru is that more south it gets, more inland the greenness gets. That's why Cajamarca is so green, and then Tingo Muria is equally as green, and then it takes until here to it's east of Andes by the time you get Cusco. Think of how inland Cusco is, and how dry it looks. And then think of how inland Cajamarca is. It's way less inland, but it's still hella lush. It's because the climate's changing as the mountains move. So you're like, I don't know. That's why this location is 95 kilometers from the coast, but it's the same climate as this location, 250 kilometers from the coast. So a good way to think about Peru. And Cajamarca is so green, but like more south you have to be up here to be so green. So like that's why this climate like kind of cuts off around Juarez. This like semi lush climate. If I'm not rambling too much. Yeah, and that's why like Cusco is like almost the same climate basically. It's my Peru rant. Round 12, another US. I think this was. Now there's a Halako versus Feneb game after analysing both Halako and Feneb. So Feneb cooks round 1. They're both cooking everything, and then out of nowhere, this crazy Tennessee, they're both going all over the place. So I like. I understand both their guesses. They're both going for interesting concepts. So he's sending Minnesota, Wisconsin, River Valley Hills, and he's sending West Pennsylvania. So they both have a complete like misunderstanding of the climate here. So we're in October, so we're in fall, and obviously the trees look a lot more full and dead than they normally do. We have weird like almost barn looking, but it's clearly just fake. Some almost northern looking architecture, and we have cornfields on both sides. So it's definitely a baity location. But the thing is, like I think both players are getting baited by the fall winter coverage, like and misunderstanding the climate, and just assuming the corn is more accurate representation of the climate when in reality it's the vegetation here that is telling you this is just like South Appalachia, Tennessee, Missouri type plants, like these these trees. The sheer amount of stuff going on in these bushes, like there's a lot of plants growing here. It just happens to be a time of year that's bad for plants, and this is like what this Wisconsin region looks like, and I can see how you think these hills basically look the same as Appalachia, but they're I don't know, when you get close to them, like it's just the grass, like there's just these trees, like it's a different climate up there. Very difficult US locations, so can't say I'm cooking them myself. Okay, and round 7, I believe, Feneb sends Brazil and Colombia. So this is just textbook Colombian fence, like super trustable meta. When you see white paint on top of fences, very nice thick fences like this, like 99% Colombia, basically never baiting with the white paint and the spam. Like, and this thickness, like in the USA, you have very skinny fences with white paint on top of it. These are wood fences. Poles, Colombian, black car, like car meta just never built black car. Colombia, Peru can look similar. Mexico, you can see something similar, but never Brazil architecture. It's a confusing mistake to me for a player of his level. But yeah, the fence is number one meta that you gotta be trusting, honestly. But poles are just also the shape. The pole top is not in Brazil. It would have to be like RGDS looks slightly different to that. I can't put into words, but if it's a round pole, like you're not giving that pole top. Getting into Repla's games now, number 14. Okay, this is a cool Indonesia location to analyze. He had 2 cooks to start, and then he sends South Sulawesi on South Sumatra. So how can I explain why this isn't Sulawesi and why it is Sumatra? Well, he's essentially okay. So this fence, I associate this fence most with Nusas, and I kind of associate with everything other than Sulawesi, because there is a Sulawesi fence meta in northern states. I don't have it here, but it's a very nice like rigid fence, whereas everything else like just doesn't use fences on Sulawesi. I feel like they do use a fence. You can tell it's a Sulawesi fence. So these like bad wood fences that you can see in Philippines and Indo. Like they're in Indo, they're not Sulawesi to me. Obviously, you have like a dry climate like bananas, palms, that kind of baits for a Sulawesi type climate, and you also have these sheet metal roofs that kind of bait for a South Sulawesi. Maybe this like kind of looks stilted. I can see why he's making this mistake, but architecture here a bit more obvious. I feel like it's just a bit different. It's just a bit like nicer, and like the roofs are nicer, and the houses are, I don't know, more sturdy. I guess these are just somewhat different looking. And this type of plantation, I have no clue what it is. I associate with like Thailand a little bit, but in Indo, it's a very like, I don't know, these like Thailand like plantations like Pung South Sumatra to me. I have no clue what plant that is, but that's why I associate with this palm, most common in Sumatra, but not common enough in this location to really trust it. Yeah, it's my advice. There's a lot of things going in, but I think the fence is what would help me the most. I completely understand this mistake. Alright, next location, we are going to number 15, which is in Nigeria. Ah, yes. This is Jos, and it's just a pretty big architecture difference. Jos versus where he sent in south. He spent 11 seconds on the mountain. He probably didn't think too hard, but you know, this is like southern roofs, metal roofs everywhere, whatever. These are very northern houses. Every house here is limestone with I guess it's not the roof, it's the house itself, but limestone with a rigid, like copy pasted metal roof shape, I guess. But yeah, everything made of limestone walls. These are dry, dry climate type architecture. You'll see it in Kano, like even more limestone. But Abuja and North, you'll get this type of architecture more. You'll see even more extreme examples in Kano and Sokoto. Like like this like mud brick, I guess. In a lot of cases, but like very good to know north versus south Nigerian architecture. Like this, I just sent north on. Like I don't know, it looks east of Abuja, I guess. Like it's kind of cool how it like the architecture like transitions with the dryness. It's pretty identifiable. And round 16, Africa. So Repla sent Peru on Erica in 32 seconds. So he thought about it and he still sent Peru. So it's a Chile pole right here. It's a long plate there, long plate there, long plate there. I'm sure he's just tunnel visioning the Chile flag. There's a lot you can see here that kind of proves it's not Peru, and this would be even easier, I feel like. So obviously the climate is coastal and easily confused, but no moving. It's a mistake that you shouldn't be making. And hill south. Shit, my headset died, so bear with me. So hill south. That's a good angle for Arica. The angle's a bit different in the Kike. You can kind of tell the hills going a bit more east-west. That's that. Okay, 4 more locations. Head into number 17, which is in Mexico. Yes, Sinaloa. Is this Repla? Yeah, so he sends East Coast on West Coast. Sends Tamaulipas on Sinaloa. Vegetation here way off, I think, in my opinion. So this is like a Palmyra palm, Sierra palm, Paraguay palm, whatever you want to call it. In Mexico is a West Coast palm to me. Very common on the West Coast. There's one of them, and if you look in the distance, I think you'll see some more. Yeah, there. So yeah, to me the most common, like Sinaloa, Sonora, Baja, yeah, and You can see them planted like random other regions, like they're a little bit here planted, but I don't know, they're pretty rare. And like the vegetation, like this is a red soil, super flat fields. You can't see ridge for any direction. This is hella west coast. It used to be very Sierra Abregón, but now there's a bunch more Los Mochis coverage like this. I guess watery. It's a good microclimate to know. It's just west coast. But yeah, Los Mochis, Sierra Abregón, probably the top two pockets for it. And yeah, just these fields, like, then obviously the ridge will always be east if you see the mountains. But you won't always see them. And you can think like this is flatter, but it doesn't have fields like that, and it's not as red, and it has these low-lying shrubs, not low-lying trees. They're very Texas-looking. Just knowing your vegetation there, really important. Easy location to learn. Around 18. Okay, I think we're getting to the trees, Eric. So he's playing about 3 seconds per location, Pro World and BZ. Insta standing Hungary on this. I guess this is the harder way to pan. Vegetation is off. This looks very USA to me, dense southern pine forest type thing. So I guess this corn is kind of baby. This look at the dirt road is a little ambiguous for Europe, but I think it's a little red. It makes sense for an Arkansas type thing. Not too much to teach for an NPZ like that though. He is playing Dirty World. This one is a Bangladesh. He sent Indonesia on. In this final game, this is a Bali location for sure. This is near Cox's Bazar. This fence is very ambiguous Southeast Asia, but I think this vegetation, and like these very tall, like bamboo trees, this bush that often is near bamboo trees, I guess it's part of the bamboo plant. Very Bangladesh, India. Yeah, really good plant to know. You can see it a little bit in Indonesia, or similar looking plants in Indonesia, but it's kind of spammed in Bangladesh, especially like coastal Bangladesh, as I feel like, and obviously India near Bangladesh. It's good vegetation to know. Obviously the hills are Beatty. The black car makes you think Indo. I understand his guess. And the final round, we look at this UK. I believe he sent southern France on. So I believe he probably saw a sign on the right and insta-sent. But in this location, you obviously have these wood poles with little bars coming outside. That's very UK Ireland. You see a plate without a blue strip, very UK. I don't believe they did that in Ireland. And this, obviously there's a hedge on this side, so they can't really put the sign there. It doesn't really make sense for them to put the sign on the left side of the road like normal, so they put it on the other side. Multiple poles here that can help you get this location. Okay. Thank you for watching. I hope everyone learned something. If you have enjoyed the video, please leave a comment, and thanks for watching.